A med student logged every single hour during her third year of medical school, her heaviest week 74 hours and her lightest 30 hours. Now, if you are anywhere close to those numbers, the idea of adding more things to your routine probably sounds like a joke. This is why in this video I will show you one single cognitive exercise. You can do it just a few minutes after every study session that will help you improve your memory and remember far more of what you just learned. And without further ado, this is going to be a visualization exercise. Now, you're probably wondering, how can a visualization exercise help me improve my memory? And to answer this question, we're going to do a fast 10-second test right now. I want you to look at those two pieces of information. You have a text on the right and a picture on the left. Now, if I ask you which one is easier to process and remember, you are probably going to pick the picture because your brain naturally prefers images over raw text. But here is the catch. This weird image actually represents the information in the text. The text is about Wilson disease, and notice that this weird cartoon character is playing with the Wilson volleyball taken from the movie Castaway. He has limb made of coiled copper wire. That is the visualization of systemic copper accumulation. He is dancing erratically, that is involuntary movements. His eyes have a bright, prominent greenish brown ring. Those are the Kaiser-Fleischer ring. And he is standing in a swampy puddle of thick greenish bile to represent impaired biliary copper excretion. Alright, now you're probably thinking, that's a nice trick, but I still don't see how this will help me improve my memory. And this makes sense because most skills improve simply by doing more of them. Lift heavier weights and you become stronger. Practice piano and you improve. It's natural to assume memory works the same way. You might think that if you memorize one page today, then 2 pages tomorrow, then 3 pages the following week, eventually you'll become someone who simply has an incredible memory. But that's rarely what's happened. Instead, you probably experience the exact opposite. You spend longer hours studying, you memorize more material, your Anki gets larger, yet remembering everything somehow becomes even more harder. The mistake is confusing using your memory with training your memory. Every study session uses memory, but very few actually improve it. And here is the secret. Memory doesn't become stronger because you force yourself to memorize increasingly larger amounts of information. It becomes stronger when you become better at transforming information into something your brain naturally wants to remember. So instead of asking, how can I memorize more today? You should be asking, how can I store this information in a way that's easier to retrieve later? And the best way to do this is to actually use visualization as I showed you. Alright, that sounds great on paper, but let's be honest. Just visualize information and your memory will magically get better is the kind of claim that should make you suspicious. I mean, is there any real evidence that an ordinary person can develop an extraordinary memory using visualization? Well, I was skeptical too, but then I read this book, Moonwalking with Einstein. The author Joshua Foer was a journalist covering the US Memory Championship. Now, if you never heard about memory competition before, it's simply a bunch of people memorizing hundreds of digits, entire deck of shuffle, playing card, or long list of random words. It would seem like those people must have been born with extraordinary brains, but while interviewing the participant, Joshua realized something surprising. The competitor weren't relying on naturally gifted brain. They were relying on trained techniques. That discovery led him to ask a simple question. What would happen if I trained those same techniques myself? So that's exactly what he did. And within about a year, the journalist who had originally attended the competition simply to report on it returned as a competitor himself. And guess what? He won. What's interesting in this story is that his brain didn't fundamentally change over 12 months. What changed was the way he encoded information. Instead of brute force memorization, he started using visualization. The technique allowed his brain to memorize information much more efficiently than simple repetition ever could. So if visualization really works, how do you actually practice it? And what's that exercise I promised at the start of the video? Well, we are going to use the Ellie framework that comes from Dominic O'Brien's memory champion, actually 8 times world memory champion, and it's made of 3 skills that build on each other. We'll have one exercise for each letter, and let's start with the first letter, the A for association. See, medical information is often incredibly abstract. You have drug name, enzyme pathway, anatomical terminology. Your brain just isn't naturally designed to remember long strings of unfamiliar sounds, but it is remarkably good at remembering images. So the first step is transforming abstract information into something visual. let me give you some examples so you can understand more clearly. Suppose you are trying to remember this drug, furosemide, loop diuretic. Instead of trying to remember it by repetition, we associate it to a memorable mental image. We can imagine a maid in the sea wearing a fur coat, furosemide. It's ridiculous, it makes no logical sense, and that's exactly why it's memorable. Similarly, we can do the same thing for spironolactone. We can associate it to spy on a rhino in a lake, and there is a little town on the lake, spironolactone. Those images immediately becomes much easier to recall than the original word alone. Association is where everyone should begin because it's the easier skills to practice immediately, and here is how you should do it. After your next study session, spend around 5 to 10 minutes choosing 2 or 3 difficult terms, the drug names you keep mixing up, the enzyme you can never spell right, or the anatomical terms that just sound like noise, and force yourself to turn each one into one ridiculous mental image. You're not just memorizing those words, you are practicing the skill of association itself. And once this becomes comfortable, you can gradually move beyond individual words and start practicing with ideas. And this is level 2 of your training. Let's take one of the previous drugs, furosemide, and let's see how to apply this. So, furosemide inhibits the sodium-potassium 2 chloride cotransporter in the thick ascending limb of the loop of the henol, producing massive diuresis. To apply association to this idea, you can imagine the maid wearing the fur coat standing in front of a large door. She's refusing to let 3 visitors enter: a Native American representing sodium, Na, a kangaroo representing potassium, K, and the 2 clowns representing chloride. Every time they try to walk through that door, she blocks them and throws them back outside. And suddenly, an enormous tidal wave floods the room, representing diuresis. Now, every part of the physiology have become something visual. Once again, don't do more than 10 minutes at first. Your goal is just to train your visualization skills. At first, your images will probably feel slow, maybe even a little awkward. That's completely normal. The more you force yourself to translate abstract information into visual scenes, the more faster your brain becomes at doing it automatically. But once you become good at creating memorable images, another problem appears. What happens when you create hundreds of them? Imagine you have spent the last several weeks doing this exercise and creating images for antibiotics, hormones, receptors, metabolic pathways, cranial nerves, and anatomical structures. Eventually your brain becomes crowded with isolated scenes. At this point, association is simply a memory trick. In fact, most of you probably have already stumbled into association before. It's not some secret technique, and plenty of students use it without even calling it association. But association alone can't carry you through medical school. You will need something to actually organize all those images so you can find them again exactly when you need them. That's where the second letter comes in, the L for location. Instead of allowing every image to exist wherever your imagination happened to create it, with location, every image is deliberately placed somewhere permanent inside the memory palace. And a memory palace is simply a familiar location that you already know extremely well. Your house, your gym, your university campus, anywhere your brain can easily visualize. Now, if you are completely new to memory palaces, don't overcomplicate them. Remember, just 5 to 10 minutes after your study session is more than enough. So here is how to do this exercise. Once you have spent a few weeks practicing association and created around 10 vivid, weird images, it's time to introduce location. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is trying to build massive, elaborate palaces right away. That's not the goal, and that's going to take a lot of time and effort. You don't need 100 locations or even 50. Start with just 10. Choose 10 places you can visualize effortlessly. Perhaps your front door, the hallway, the living room, the sofa, and so on. And as you become comfortable placing information there, you will naturally begin creating additional palaces. Now, after every study session, you will either be practicing association or location. And over time, you will have created separate palaces for anatomy, for pharmacology, and physiology. Eventually, your memory becomes organized instead of crowded. That's the real purpose of location. It doesn't make your images more memorable. Association has already done that. Location makes them retrievable, and retrieval is what ultimately matters during an exam. Now, here's the thing though. I can explain association and location in a video like this, but actually building your first memory palace is much easier with someone walking you through it step by step. That's exactly why I put together a free course called the 3-Day Medical Memory Palace Challenge. Over 3 days, I will help you build your first memory palace from scratch, place your first real medical information inside it, and get you comfortable enough that you can start applying this to your own courses immediately, not weeks from now. It's free, it takes just a few minutes a day, and the link is in the description below and first pinned comment. Alright, so you got the A for association, the L for location, and there is only one final skill left. Fortunately, this is often the easiest part to develop because the foundation is already in place. After a few weeks of practice, you will know how to create memorable images and how to link them to familiar location. The only thing left is making the entire system feel alive. And this is where the last letter comes in, the I for imagination. People often think imagination simply means making images stranger. That's part of it, but its real job is connecting your image to their environment so they become one memorable scene. Let's go back to the Wilson disease example. Let's say you placed that weird cartoon character in your kitchen sink. Don't just leave him standing there. Make him move, make him react to the space around him. He's dancing erratically in your sink, his copper wire limbs scraping against the metal, making a horrible screeching sound. And the thick, greenish bile starts pouring out of him, filling up your sink, rising higher and higher until it spills over the edge and starts dripping into your floor. Now, he is not just an image sitting in a location, he's flooding your kitchen, he's interacting with the sink, the light, the floor. Every part of that location is tied to him. And this is what imagination actually does. It takes an image and a location, and instead of leaving them as two separate things, it welds them into one single story. The good news is that this is usually the easiest part to develop. By the time you have spent a few weeks creating images and placing them inside memory palaces, your imagination starts working almost automatically. Now you got the framework to improve your memory and make information dramatically easier to remember. Just a few minutes after a study session and you are done. See, one of the biggest misconceptions about memory training is that it requires a completely separate study schedule. It doesn't. You don't need to stop using active recall, abandon spaced repetition, or redesign everything that's already working. Instead, think of this as a short layer that sits on top of your existing study routine. But there is still one question we haven't answered yet. How do you go from those simple exercises to actually memorizing full medical chapters or even a medical textbook? Visualization is only the first step. Without a system, those images eventually become impossible to organize. The real secret is turning those 3 skills into a system that you can use for medical school. So click on this video where I will show you my exact 3-step framework for turning an entire medical textbook into a structured memory palace so even the biggest books stop feeling impossible and start feeling manageable.